morning, good afternoon. Hi from wherever you are this morning. I see our audience very quickly trickling in here. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being on early, many of you. Roger with IBM, what time is it where you are?
Oh, 1 o'clock Eastern.
That's what I thought. Okay, I didn't know if you were traveling or anything like that. Yeah, so good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. We'll get started in just a few seconds. Light up that chat box. Let us know where you are calling in from today. We do want to stress that this is a virtual roundtable, meaning we want you to engage with us. This is your chance to really get to know this provider here today without the high intensity stress of a face-to-face meeting right now. So thank you so much. Okay, hi in Yorba Linda, California. Hi in Brea, California. Hello in Whittier. Good morning from, and hi in West Virginia, Roger. All right, well, we'll get started here in about 15 more seconds. We do have everyone on mute, and that is just to keep out the sounds of barking dogs, or like Megan in her background, she has some workers here this morning. So we understand that most people are working from home, and that is totally okay. And good morning, Vista, California. We got a lot of Californians on today. I'm here in Northern California in the Tahoe National Forest. And I'll just introduce myself really quick. My name is Sonia Moline. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Vice President here with Technology Source. I've been with the organization for just over a year, and prior to that, I worked with them. I was a Chief Cloud and Sales and Marketing Officer for a cloud company, and while I was there, I got to work with Technology Source because we sold our services and products through Technology Source. So got to know them for many years, some of my mentors actually who worked here. And so it's really great to be able to kind of be on this side where I'm helping all these different customers with all these different products and services. And so today, one of the services that we have is IBM. And so everyone's heard of it, and most of you, I see a lot of returning people today on the roundtable. Hi in Vancouver, Canada. I see a lot of returning guests, and that's awesome, and we're glad to have you back. So for you, this won't be a review. This will be a continuation of the conversation. And so over the time that we've had Roger and Phil and we had Keith on, we've learned, first of all, kind of an overview of where we're at, and then we started talking about this unplanned cloud journey. Unplanned because why? Well, things happen. Servers go out, and unexpectedly now you're forced to figure out what to do next, or an organization goes out of business and shuts down, or your IT person just flakes and you don't know what to do. And so you're like, okay, this is unplanned. Another big one, something happened in March in the United States for all of us that could have caused a very big spark for an unplanned cloud migration or journey, and that would be basically what consumed 2020, our pandemic that we're all still in the middle of. And it's funny, when I was an IT director in prior years, I remember doing pandemic planning, and we would sit around and joke about, oh my gosh, we're going to call this like the zombie apocalypse plan. And I never honestly, personally thought that any of our planning would go into actual effect. And I'm happy to say that some of the cloud, products that we've put in place for the organizations where I was an IT director, I know that they're doing very well because their products and services for their organizations were all set with these types of pandemic planning measures in place. Well, for other organizations, that's not always going to be the case because they didn't have that heads up, or they didn't have that ability, and they didn't have partners like us with Technology Source and Roger and Phil with IBM. And so that's one of the things we're hoping that you'll get from today's event, is that you'll learn a little bit about us, and that you will then be able to reach out and work with us and help you with that cloud journey, whatever it may be, whenever it may be the right time for you. It doesn't necessarily happen today. It could be something that's planned out over many weeks, months, years, hopefully not too long. I've also seen a lot of organizations get stuck in analyzation, parallelization, and they're constantly like, we need to do, a business impact analysis and set our RTO, and we have to get all these different objectives in place before we ever make any steps. And then lo and behold, they get hit by ransomware. They get hit by some sort of phishing scheme or something like that. And while they were doing so much planning over years, they never got there. So we hope to kind of speed things along and be that partner that you need to make those plans for your organization, kind of be your secret weapon. So now without further ado, I am excited to introduce Roger, and he will introduce Phil. So Roger is an inventor with 25 years of innovation across many industries. As the ecosystem enablement leader for the IBM public cloud, he is focused on helping the IBM partnership ecosystem scale up to meet the daily demands of cloud for customers. We're excited to have you again, Roger.
Hey, great to be here, Sonia. Thank you so much. And thanks all. I do recognize some familiar names. So hi, John. Hi, Whit. Glad to have you guys back. Hey, Rob. Good to see you again. And let me go ahead and share my screen out. With me today, as you mentioned, is your lead face for sales opportunities, Phil Hall.
Good afternoon, team. Yeah, I'm going to be working closely with everyone on this one to help navigate through IBM to basically assist all customers on their journey to cloud. So feel free. This time we're going to talk to you about right now is the efficiencies of the cloud. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime and I can help walk you through it.
Thanks a lot, Phil. And as you can see on the slide here, we do have some prizes we're giving away. We got a coffee gift card and a couple of IBM Pop sockets, which I'll explain those also here in a moment. But I'm going to give you a little different face of IBM today. And what I mean by that is, did you know we actually have a mindfulness at IBM chief? This is the guy, you know, Patrick Kozakevich. Doesn't look like the typical IBMer. I think maybe many of you might agree. There's no blue suit there, no short hair, but this is one of the new faces of IBM, and he leads our mindfulness practice at IBM. And what I want to do is, since we're quickly approaching the middle of the day, I guess, and heading on our way to hump day tomorrow, and many of you perhaps are balancing work and family life in this new economy, I'm going to take a minute here just for a very brief mindfulness exercise. It's 1 minute. So follow along, and I'm going to play this right now.
3 breaths. 1, 2, 3. First breath, focus. Bring all your attention, concentration, and willpower on the breath. How it feels, how it sounds, just thinking about breathing in and breathing out. First breath. Second breath. Get more comfortable. Get more relaxed. Release. Let go of tension. Third breath. Think of someone and send them a kind thought. Focus breath. Relaxing breath. Kind thought to someone breath. Go. Kind thought your way. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. And again, one of the new faces, and there's nothing like just a little bit of mindfulness really to open up your mind and give us some full attention to the story we've got today. Again, that's part of the IBM story. Another part of the IBM story is really our commitment to diversity. Did you know that in 1914, we hired our first employee with disability, even before it became law? And this is IBM's proactive stance towards diversity, which really includes communities for a lot of different varied populations. And so, by the way, if you visit anything here in a red square or red outline or a link, are places where you can go and learn a little bit more about IBM's commitment in any of one of these categories, including veterans and women. One of my good colleagues, Suzanne Tedrick, also wrote a book recently on women of color in technology as a means to grow the population in that sector and provide great mentoring and advice in that space. So again, I mentioned I'm going to give away some pop sockets, but it's not just any pop socket. It's what we call the B equal pop socket. So if you got some cool questions as you go along and learn about IBM Cloud and our infrastructure services, this is a great place where you can chime in with a question, and Megan and Sonia will take care of that. Furthermore, we also have a whole note on our corporate social responsibility. Frankly, customers like to buy from socially responsible companies, and so you'll find some of our statements there as well. Okay. So as Sonia mentioned, welcome to episode 3 in our 4-part series. Episode 4 on application modernization will be in January. So after all the busyness subsides, we'll talk about that exciting realm. But really, it's all about IT efficiency. Hey, as the message that you got on this invitation may have indicated, IT departments really are facing the all too common scenario of having to deliver faster, better, and cheaper to meet operational excellence goals and to better compete. And one way to do that is taking the expensive capital expenditures and shifting those over to operational expenditures. That frees capital expenditures for investment into new areas and new initiatives that are more disruptive, which is exactly feeds the whole episode 4 that we'll talk about again in January. So if you are attending today as a client, your technology source advisor may ask you a number of these different questions. Do you need to consolidate or fully evacuate your on-premise data centers? It's really expensive to maintain those. It's not just the machines, but it's the building, it's the heating the cooling of those environments. All the electricity costs and so on, or what we all just call the environmental costs of maintaining those data centers. Do you need to modernize your infrastructure? It costs a lot to upgrade machines, and why not have a way to be able to take advantage of those upgrades on demand? How about expanding capacity without, again, buying more machines? Leverage the cloud to help your expansion goals, especially when we have Black Friday and other big initiatives, shopping surges coming up in the market. How do you need to protect data and minimize unexpected downtime? Do you need to provide high availability for some of your mission critical apps like SAP? Or do you need to deliver applications faster, better, cheaper? So we're going to touch on all of these topics, but since some of you may have come from a telephony or communications realm, I'm going to say that Technology Source has this experience and are familiar with that ability to transition from just telephony and communications expanding into cloud, because there's actually a nice parallel. With communications, you have existing infrastructure, and there's capital expenses that you apply to purchase and install those, configure, and then there's the ongoing management, all you can eat to manage those solutions. But as the transition to more modernized infrastructure happens with unified communication as a service, you'll see that shift towards operational expenditures, more pay-as-you-go with remote operations, and some of the onus is really on the provider of those services to provide upgrades and patches and other add-ons. That same thing is true with cloud, but instead of communications infrastructure, we're really talking about computing infrastructure to run all the applications. And so that same thought of buying machines and configuring, deploying those machines and all the ongoing management, that's, if you own all that in your own data center, then you own all that and all the expense associated with it. And that shift towards cloud and cloud computing really, again, shifts that over to the cheaper operational expenditure and shifts some of that management responsibility over to the cloud provider. And so as we partner with our clients in their journey to cloud, of course, we're IBM, so we have a lot of successes. And infrastructure as a service is oftentimes the first step towards success with IBM Cloud, whether it's re-engineering a web hosting solution to be more modernized, whether it's supporting a regulated workload or SAP. We actually have a whole bunch of SAP certified hardware that runs in our cloud data centers, or it's just data center consolidation, having VMware, SAP, and Power Systems all in your data center, but shifting those into the IBM Cloud to relieve yourselves of that burden of cost. Whether it's just having access to high performance machines to support, in this case, cloud gaming, but we have a concept of bare metal servers, which give you the absolute highest level of performance, price per performance ratio. And of course, you know, that's just the first part of the journey, which can then further be refined with, as you've probably seen many IBM commercials on television, a smarter way of work to add AI or data analytics capabilities in. So these are just 6, but IBM has a ton of other case studies that you can, we can share with you. Many of them are just on the public website. So as we look at cloud and know that it's just more than infrastructure, when we peel back the layers of infrastructure as a service, or actually when we look at infrastructure service, that's one of the 3 cloud service models. There's also software as a service and platform as a service. And IBM has all of these capabilities in our cloud, and they each have a different buyer. The CIO is going to be our focus today when we talk about the infrastructure as a service. It also might be the IT director. For a software as a service, typically that's done by perhaps a line of business owner. And for platform as a service, also could be line of business, but generally speaking, it's probably more likely a vice president of development or software development. So as we look at those cloud service models and peel those layers of that onion, there's actually several ingredients that we're going to talk about in more detail to support that. For infrastructure as a service, we'll talk about compute, network, and storage. Again, some of the key strengths of the IBM Cloud. But as I mentioned, these are in support of applications. Infrastructure isn't bought just to have infrastructure. You don't buy plumbing just to have plumbing. You have plumbing to support water in your house. And the water of today's economy is really the applications, a lot of them mobile applications, but they could be web applications or Internet of Things types of applications that are really powering the business initiatives of today. Let me give you an example. What you're seeing on the screen is actually the Pizza Hut, their annual report. And some companies publish an annual report, some publish their initiatives on their public websites, public-facing websites. But if you look at Pizza Hut, this particular division of Pizza Hut had 5 key business initiatives. And yeah, sure, focus on the core menu items, but simplify the menu because there's also a bunch of consolidation that's happening. Pizza Hut, KFC, Taco Bell kind of merging into one. So not everything is going to be put on the menu in those smaller boxes. That's part of that brand integration that you're seeing. And of course, sustainable development, because after all, there's a lot of waste that goes on in the fast food industry. And that last one is really interesting, digital acceleration. And you can see the image there. It's someone holding the brand loyalty app. And that's one of the things, if you actually go and visit in this case, it's Yum, the parent company of all these, their big thing, and it's mentioned right in their public record, that their loyalty apps are a key part of their digital acceleration. How do you drive more consumers on a regular basis to consume products or services that you offer? And there's nothing like having that brand carried around to the millions, soon to be billions of consumers that are on the planet that have smartphones. Okay. So really when you're looking at solving these challenges, a technology source advisor may ask you, what are your top 3 to 5 business initiatives? And what are those key applications that support those top initiatives? Sometimes I hear applications and workloads being used interchangeably, But really, these are applications that are driving the business, whether it's a front end business to consumer application like that mobile loyalty app, or it's a back office business to employer enterprise type of application that's helping lower some of the costs and automate some of the processes that may be underway at a particular company to fulfill the customer's needs. And then finally, where are you on that cloud journey? Sonia and I already talked about those different stages of the cloud journey, and some are just beginning and some are, of course, already in flight. And that's an important piece for us to know to better serve you in this realm. So today we're really going to focus on that IT efficiency, or that shift of capital expense to operational expense. And so we'll look at the ingredients of compute, networking and storage that an IT director or CIO might be interested in their pursuit of more efficiency in the IT realm. Now, when we look across the spectrum of compute, network, storage, and security, IBM has a ton of offerings. I'm not going to go over all of these offerings. I'm going to touch on some key highlights here. But in the compute realm, which is really where we're going to start first, bottom line, if you want choice, there's really no other choice but IBM. IBM provides the largest variety of compute offerings in the cloud market. And we have better price for performance ratios, especially when it comes to bare metal servers. Now, again, if you're not really familiar with this whole concept of cloud compute, it's kind of like going to rent a center and getting your computers, right? You're borrowing them for some time in the cloud. And if you want to participate a little bit in this learning exercise, you can just simply click on that link or enter it in cloud.ibm.com/catalog, search for the bare metal offerings, and see how many different offerings we have. We actually even have offerings that you can buy per hour, as well as monthly or longer term subscriptions if needed. So even if it's just a short-term need for a box, IBM can help you with that. And provisioning happens within a 2 to 4 hour window. So here again, an advisor may ask you, do you need a Windows or Linux box? And there are tons of different configurations, memory, disks, disk options, networking options that you can configure those machines. And you can do it all from the comfort of your browser console, and then start leveraging that again within the 2 to 4 hour window after it's been provisioned. Okay. Once again, if you want choice, there's really no other choice but IBM to offer you this wide range of bare metal servers. And these bare metal servers are machines that are probably the easiest option for many customers to start their cloud journey. Why? Because you get root access just like you would get of your own machines that you're installing at your own site. There's no separate hypervisor or anything like that. You're getting right into that machine and beginning your management of that machine in the cloud. Again, with those flexible billing options that you can see on the screen right now. So once again, simple way to get going, probably the easiest transition for customers that are a little hesitant maybe to go into the cloud, but do want that performance. Bare metal servers potentially are the most easiest way to get in. Now, there are concepts of what we call virtual server instances. These are virtual servers. It's not a bare metal server, but rather it's a virtualized machine. And IBM has a number of different options for virtual servers. This is, if you're probably familiar with Amazon and their Elastic Cloud capabilities, this whole family of virtual servers and virtual private computing is a similar concept to what you all might come to know in Amazon. And so again, your advisor may ask, do you need to support a remote work environment, or do you need just simply a box for disaster recovery or backups? And these servers, this infrastructure or compute on demand, are wonderful options that you can take advantage of to do that.
We have some questions that are coming in. Would it be okay we're going to take a little question break because these are really kind of in line with what we're talking about here. So one of the questions, and this might tie into something that I think you're going to be presenting soon, so we might wrap back into this, but do you have stories of success in helping educational institutions from, shifting from day-to-day CapEx to OpEx? And this comes from a advisor, and he has his customer with him, and so he just kind of wants to be able to share any stories, especially in an educational sort of environment. And then, so that's question one. Yeah, let's just take that one. I don't know if it's a good time or if you have something kind of further down the line to discuss.
No, let's answer that. I might need Phil's help on some of that as well, but I will tell you that we're in multiple parts of that equation. We're in the software or service providers as well. So there are companies like Genzabar that make education software for educational institutions to use. They are redesigning their products on IBM Cloud. They've already deployed some of that. And I think I might have shared that out recently as well in my LinkedIn sphere. But if not, I certainly can redo that. As far as educational institutions, Phil, any other ones that you might?
Yeah, we have publishable resources, references on this point. So if you're talking about like private schools or state and local universities, a lot of them have made this shift to cloud specifically to reduce their capital costs. So when you're asking for someone where they're buying, they're building brick and mortar, we have several universities that we're currently working with. And then we go all the way down to specifically for this pandemic, we're working with many elementary schools to offset the cost for basically computer screen.
Sonia, your comment broke up a little bit on audio. Maybe that was just me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, good now.
Okay, super. All right. Hey, at the bottom of this visual, you'll notice that we actually have a number of offers. At the risk of repeating the message that we've stated previously on episodes 1 and 2, we do have some current open offers. We call them the COVID offers, but it's our response to customers that have that specific need. And here's, in the business continuity realm, you can stand up some virtual servers in this 90-day window free of charge up to $500. So it's a great way to, dip your toe into the pool of cloud if you wanted to at a very low risk investment profile. We have a number of those offers. I touch on a couple here, but there are more in episode 2 if everyone wants to go back and do some of the replays that Sonia has kindly cataloged. Another place that virtual servers are also really popular is this concept of VMware on IBM Cloud. And many of you may not know that IBM is actually the largest operator of VMware workloads in the world. And that's because we give customers a large number of different configurations to meet the workload need. Not every application two applications are the same. Every application has different nuances to it, and every application then has different needs. But for those customers that are leveraging VMware, one partner has told me IBM Cloud for VMware Solutions is the best choice for data center migration because it's the closest to implementation of what you get on-prem. So if a customer is already familiar with VMware on-premise, IBM Cloud for VMware Solutions is a easy transition to cloud for those clients. And here again, more offers. We got a one-time credit offer. There's a up to 6 node or another $500 credit for temporary migration or business continuity. I mentioned SAP earlier. This is another very popular application that runs on infrastructure. And the key point here in the compute realm is that IBM was the first to offer certified bare metal servers for SAP. So if you're not familiar with this, SAP goes through a process of deep technical review of the platform that they run their software on to ensure clients have the utmost in uptime. And IBM has a number of different SAP certified solutions, including both bare metal and SAP certified VMware, to ease that transition or migration into the cloud. So again, the advisors may ask you, are you running any SAP workloads today? And there are some plays that help with that migration as well. Especially, I think there's a big one right now, if I'm not mistaken, for SAP on Power platforms. So if you have any customers on the IBM Power platform, there's a 45% discount on SAP on Power workloads and moving them to the cloud. So again, inquire with Phil, and we can find out. We can give you more information on that. Since I did mention Power, great. Another set of questions that a technology source advisor may ask you: do you currently own any IBM Power systems, whether they're running AIX or IBM I? This is again an option that from the company that made Power Systems. We have Power virtual servers in the cloud. Gets rid of all those environmentals, moves your workloads into the cloud, or you can just use it as, again, additional capacity in the cloud if you're not ready to make that entire step towards cloud. And then there's also additional options. I mentioned faster, better, cheaper from a development perspective. We have a wonderful solution that we call SkyTap. This is another partnership opportunity that IBM has. So in addition to just partnering on solutioning like we do with technology source advisors, we also have technology partners. SkyTap is one of them. And they have this excellent self-serve development testing environment that allows customers to stand up these test environments very quickly. And it leverages that similar VMware type mechanism. And again, if you get a hold of these slides through the supplier portal, you can watch this video, and it's a great testimony how they reduced their dev test ops cycles times from weeks. They went through like an 8-week testing cycle and got it down to about 6 hours. So dramatic time and cost savings for NBC Universal to speed up their ability to deliver applications. Shall I stop for any other questions, Sonia? Was there another question?
Yeah, good idea. So one of the questions is, how does IBM infrastructure as a service compare to AWS?
Great question. So when we compare to AWS, and I have a couple additional items that I'm going to show you here in a little bit. Number one, IBM has probably the largest SLA payouts. What does that mean? We put our money where our mouth is. If we are down for extended periods of time, which we don't want that, so we will pay out a higher amount than our competitors. The bare metal servers that I just talked about is, once again, AWS's offering there is highly proprietary. With IBM Cloud bare metal servers, you get access directly to those machines in the cloud. And then IBM is also the only FIPS 140-2 level 4 compliant cloud provider. What does that mean? So it's number one, encryption, the highest form of encryption. But number two, it's also a fail-safe mechanism. So one thing you might not know is when you're running workloads on Amazon, your friends at Amazon can see all the data that's running on that cloud. For sensitive workloads, maybe like banking systems, for example, we don't want the public or the cloud vendor getting access to that information. So IBM actually goes through with this FIPS 140-2 level 4 compliance, a key ceremony. We turn the keys over to the client. That client then owns the ability to decrypt the traffic. IBM is out. We can no longer see any of the traffic that's happening on or through that cloud. And so to even go further in that differentiation than AWS, we also provide what's called a key sharding. So if you, it basically is breaking up the key into multiple parts. If you can envision a missile silo, perhaps, if I can give us a little war games throwback mention, you have multiple personnel, each with their own key, standing far apart, and they have to turn the keys at the same time. With cloud decryption technology, you can have a key that you break up and give to multiple employees to prevent the lone rogue employee scenario. Phil, any other things you want to add on there to?
No, those are the differentiators that I mean, those are the easy highlights right there. You have control, you have the security, and you have the ability and the flexibility. I'm not saying AWS is a strong competitor, so we really like to kind of complement them, and we can actually work with your customers that might have AWS because we can help manage that environment as well.
And we'll talk about exactly one of those scenarios when I get to the storage section here soon. But maybe one other thing that I'll add to that is, and it's highlighted on the slide right now, the internal data center data transfer costs. So when data for a global solution that you may have deployed, when data transmits to and from the IBM backbone, the customer is not paying for that. This is an IBM cost, okay? So this allows a greater total cost of ownership using using the IBM Cloud.
So just a general cloud question has come in, and I'm tracking your names. Thank you for those who are asking really good questions. General cloud question is, what is the current percentage of cloud versus on-site? In other words, how much cloud adoption is there compared to traditional on-site computing?
That's great. That's a great question. And we've done a lot of study of that because when we approach many of our heritage IT environments with our customers that have chosen IBM for its robust workload handling, we've discovered that only about 20% of all the workloads have moved over to cloud. So it's not a done deal. It's not a done market. There's plenty of opportunity to migrate clients' applications into the cloud, but they haven't gone there because they haven't felt secure until now, especially with the IBM Cloud for Financial Services, which is basically the same cloud we're talking about here, but with the built-in FIPS 140-2 level 4 compliance. And that's the reason why Bank of America and IBM have teamed together, is there's a great opportunity there for those other 80% of workloads to move to the cloud.
Great.
Now, in that spectrum of infrastructure options, I mentioned the ingredients were compute, network, and storage. So let's touch upon network a little bit. I already gave you a little bit about the internal data center transfer costs, which again, IBM eats those costs. We don't transfer those over to the client. Another place, and this really leads to the whole security question, is our partnership with a company called Cloudflare. You might know Cloudflare as a distributed denial of service or web firewall type of service. So we've partnered with Cloudflare to help, again, secure some of the discriminating workloads that do come over through the public internet. And so what you see there on the slide in terms of cloud internet services is the ability to leverage the technologies from Cloudflare, from the internet through the edge. And then the rest of the cloud, you can see we have firewalls, gateway appliances, VPNs, and other capabilities, including direct link access to enterprise assets that go deep into our cloud catalog to provide those enterprise level secure services over the network. Again, including things like distributed denial of service protection and web application firewalls. So again, IBM isn't just about the old proprietary mainframe anymore. Yes, we still have those, but that is a big, push for some clients is to get off those mainframes. IBM instead is partnering with other cloud vendors to provide solutions that our customers really want. Now, I mentioned storage earlier. Another place where we're almost always cheaper than Amazon and is in Amazon's S3 storage, which is block file and object storage. Not to say that, again, Amazon isn't good in this space. In fact, it's probably about 50% of their market share of their revenue is storage. So IBM has basically a cheaper version of that. If you want to extend an Amazon solution and replace just the S3 component of that, we're happy to talk and give you a cheaper option to approach your clients with. It also serves, and as Phil mentioned, as a great business continuity offer as well, because it's nothing like being able to store data securely and access it when you need it in a business continuity, shuttle files and things like that between Office and or cloud, or between partners or other organizations that you're working with. So here again, there's another 90-day offer that's available that you can take advantage of. The last thing in the storage realm that I'm going to talk about is what we call database as a service. Now you can see there's an eye chart, and it's purposeful here. There are so many different databases available that any one customer may be running 10 or 15 different types of databases for different purposes. Large scale transactional systems, point of sale systems, and so on that use SQL or SQL. And then there's a bunch of maybe mobile apps or other lightweight apps that use NoSQL, things like Mongo or Cloudant. And so, or Apache Couch. These are, the IBM Cloud Catalog has a ton of different database offerings, again, giving customers choice on moving those workloads and their data to the cloud. We even have SQL Server as an option on the bare metal servers. So we don't have it in our cloud per se, but we do have it in a bare metal offering. So to sum up, again, no match. Bare metal, our bare metal server options just far and away outperform and outpace our competitors. We provide enterprise level capabilities across multiple platforms. So whether our customers are running AIX, IBM I, or Linux, IBM's got a choice for you there to bring those workloads to the cloud. Good performance across all those platforms. Again, bandwidth, capabilities with differentiated security, as I mentioned, FIPS 140-2 level 4 to provide the most discriminating secure presence. The very inexpensive, cheaper than Amazon S3 cloud object storage, giving customers lots of options for block file storage. The ability to add AI capabilities and leverage some of that in the GPU options that we have with bare metal. And again, finally closing with the highest SLA payouts. We put our money where our mouth is on that, which really brings us to our catchphrase. IBM Cloud, it's the most open and secure public cloud for business, bringing that IT efficiency to our customers, helping them leverage that CapEx to OpEx transition. Open innovation. Hey, the days of the proprietary mainframe are, for the most part done. IBM has had a commitment to open source since the 90s. And so that, 20-year presence, 20 plus year presence in the open source market has now led us to a place where we're releasing new products based on open source standards that we're collaborating with the Googles and the Microsofts and Amazons, because customers want choice. If they want to deploy a Red Hat OpenShift container on the IBM Cloud, they can do it. If they want to deploy a Red Hat OpenShift container on Amazon, they can do it. And that really puts the onus on the cloud provider to provide the best experience. And for something like deploying in a Red Hat OpenShift in that open innovation, it's 2 clicks. Very simple operation to do that. I kind of beat the whole security leadership to death, so I'm not going to talk about that any further. But again, enterprise grade. So the customers that want to leverage VMware, IBM, again, number one number of VMware workloads on the planet, and then support for a variety of different operating systems as well. And so once again, to cover IT efficiency, the questions you might be asking are, well, why? What about, all that capability, but when? And my argument would be start that cloud journey now. Because if you're looking to better compete, you want to take a lot of that cost out of your equation, shift it to an operational expense, and that lowered cost then can also be shifted to disruptive technologies like building new applications and getting rid of those on-premise data centers or outdated infrastructure that's expensive and hard to maintain. And once again, shifting that into the cloud. So once again, Sonia, I want to say thank you. We'll open it up for questions. Of course, this presentation will be uploaded to the portal that Technology Source has for suppliers. And we welcome any other questions you might have.
Great. We do have a lot of questions. I don't actually think we're going to be able to get to all of them, but keep them coming. There's also some questions that are very specific to specific applications. So we'll kind of save those ones towards the end, and hopefully we'll get to those. So thank you also to John B, Sam M, and David T, as in Tango. We have your names in the bowl, so you are up against each other to win little prizes. It just kind of keeps it fun. All right, so Trudy asks, what type of enterprises can benefit most from VMware Cloud? And, if I think she's looking to maybe see if there was a combined, because everything is application based, right? It's everything is about the applications. And so just walking into sell cloud or something like that is just such a nebulous concept. But if you can pair them with something, I think that's a good approach. And why? Because that solves specific problems, and maybe something that they're already using VMware. But those are good questions. And what types of enterprises can benefit? I've personally seen lots of healthcare organizations benefit, lots of manufacturing. Almost any. It's so funny. Every client of every industry wants to see the case studies from their industry. But the reality is, it's like almost every industry can benefit from what I've seen. Do you kind of feel the same, Roger?
Oh gosh, I'm pasting in the chat our case studies link. There are tons in there. VMware just happens to be one of, they conquered the virtualization market. So it's obviously a very popular solution, and IBM took that, ran with it, and that's why we are, the number one workload provider of VMware. Lots of industry solutions across all the different sectors.
Yeah, and Trudy, if you ever want to chat with me about that, it's an actual passion of mine. I've seen organizations be completely turned around, save huge amounts of money, not have to hire 20 more staff, not have to overburden their current staff. I mean, it just reduces the workload. I mean, it's a huge shift for an organization that's maybe struggling or doing things kind of the traditional IT way to virtualize and then have a partner like IBM to help them with the whole thing. It's just, it's going to be like night and day for an organization and kind of reduce I used to say for me, it was like I couldn't take breaks, I couldn't take vacations, I couldn't take lunches, because there was always something. But when you shift all that onto virtualized environments, it changes your day-to-day life in the IT world, and the company as well is not struggling and slogging along. So, but really good question. Next one are what steps, again with VMware, could the vSphere administrators take to ready their organizations, I think with an IBM Cloud deployment, or if someone's already on VMware vSphere, which for those who don't know, vSphere is like a management portal for your VMware. That's how I describe it in easy terms. But those people are very, those administrators who manage those portals are very kind of committed and busy. And so how could they be someone to reach out to work with IBM, or would that maybe be a little, I see it be maybe somebody a little higher, like a CIO or something like that. But you never know. I mean, sometimes the administrator is also the CIO. So.
Let me answer that question though. So that can be an inhibitor in many instances where you're introducing a new tooling model to the VMware administrators. So what IBM has painstakingly done is we've worked with the VMware organization, so it's a seamless integration. So everything that they know, they will actually be able to implement into the cloud. So think of it as a mirrored-like approach. So there's no real additional steps that they need to take. In fact, they think might be a more burdensome additional responsibility. It's not going to be. We've spent a lot of time with the VMware team on the back end to make sure you go into these people and you're talking to them like, I don't want to learn something new. I don't want to have to kind of expand my responsibilities for the data center. At this point, we are not doing that for them. We're making it easier to have them manage multiple environments with capacity overload, et cetera. So that's something that if you're targeting those people who are working in there, it's going to help them. It's going to help them ultimately run their business.
Great. Okay, next question. Can you talk a little bit about your data centers, where they're located, what kind of pairing and connectivity they offer? That would be a good sort of general question.
Yes. So, gosh, we have global presence, and I'm seeing if I can pull up this data center map for you guys.
We're constantly building data centers currently right now. So we do have across the board. And one of the things that we do have, and I saw this in one of the questions, is from a dual link perspective, we laid down the dark fiber. So we have redundancy, and we back that up with the SLAs that Roger talked about. So when you're not paying the charges and you can guarantee global connectivity, you hear the term follow the sun. We have data centers around the world so that anytime an organization would need that, if they have to go over to Europe or if they have to go to Australia, we have the presence there, and they're constantly building them. I think we had 7 came out earlier this quarter. So we're building currently all the time to actually meet customer demand.
And what I did is I ended up pasting the link. If you want to see the live data center map, click on the link, visit. You can also drill down into the different facets of it because, we have lots of points of presence as well with our telecom partners.
Awesome. What about global connectivity, consistent speed? Seems like kind of a continuation of that last question.
That's the dark fiber that we were talking about, right?
Okay.
So we walk the talk. So when you have a dark fiber, what you'll run into is you run into customers that might have constraints. At this point, they're not going to have that. When I have a dual environment, we have redundancy, and we have a triple architect network. So that if a customer has a public cloud, we talk about noisy neighbors, you can unplug and have a virtual private cloud network. So customers can take advantage of that as well.
Right, so it's extremely customized for what the customer's use case is. So if they don't have really high concerns for a little bit of latency, a little bit of downtime now and then, no big deal. So they're going to be put into another environment that's probably completely built out for their type of customer. So I love to hear that versus, it's just kind of one and done cookie cutter approach. I love to hear, that. So
we work with several customers, and this is just to make sure the point is there. You're working with nanoseconds. So customers want that, and they can actually go out and test for free to ensure that they're getting we're walking the talk again. We have no problems backing up. There's no latency the customer is ever going to experience because we do have these data centers multiplied in different areas for what the customer might want to do.
Yeah, very important. Great question. Rob, our Executive Vice President, is on as well, and he just wanted to say thank you for everybody who's asking good questions today. They really are good. What type of deployment models do you offer? Cloud, hybrid, premise-based? Can you talk a little bit about that and the migration process? And we only have, 30 seconds. So I know that's like a very long answered question, but if we just kind of like a little snapshot.
Yeah, I'll speak real quick on this one because you're seeing a lot of commercials about IBM hybrid cloud right now. And that goes along with when someone asks how many people have made the journey to cloud. And we're saying 20% of the customers, based on fear, insecurity, or not known, we offer multiple variations. On-premise, we can work with agents pulling into our cloud from a hybrid-like approach. And then the migration component, we do application modernization and migrations. We're going into Kubernetes at that point, but it's basically, we'll meet the customer where they are in their journey to cloud. So bring the customers forward. We can talk to them. We can actually run an assessment, tell them what they can and cannot do at this time, and then help them take baby steps into their journey into a different type of environment.
Yeah, and that's another differentiator that I know you guys don't toot your horn on, but we have you guys. I mean, why not work with, innovators like yourselves? And, it's just part of the whole onboarding process. So I will add that to that we've had a wonderful, interactions with you guys and working with our customers. And I feel like that's been very beneficial to our customers as well as the advisors. I mean, it's really a good fit. So, well, we are coming to the end of our virtual roundtable. We have another one coming up next week where we'll be talking about some unified communications tools and things like that. So please do come back next week. Before you go, though, I also want to let Megan know for the pop sockets, if you would please track who wins and get their addresses, if you don't mind. So thank you, Megan, who's on the call with us today and who's been helping with the event. So we're going to do our drawing. First item is what? A pop socket, right?
Sure.
Okay. The winner is Sam M, as in Mike. Sam M. All right. Congratulations for the win for that pop socket. All right. The next one is, I got two. All right. Trudy for another pop socket. And then the next one, John B, and that is for the $25 gift card, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, perfect. So John can have his cookies with his coffee. That may be an inside joke between John and I. So
always a winner. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. John says the cookies are already gone from last time, so thank you for those, Roger. All right. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time. And thanks, Phil, and thank you so much, Roger.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.